This is the September 6th meeting of the Government Operations and Regulations Committee. Our new chair is Councilmember Benedict. She is out of town and asked me as the new vice chair to chair this meeting. So let's do attendance. Benedict absent, Cash present, Hancock present, Nash present, Parker present, Porterfield absent, Stiles absent, absent, Withers present, and Young present. So I've got 6 members present. Begin the agenda with RS 2022-1733 by myself. This exempts Xiaobao. Okay. Located at 830 Meridian Street, Nashville, Tennessee, 37207. Hey, I know where that is. From the minimum distance requirements for obtaining a beer permit pursuant to Section 7.08.090.e of the Metropolitan Code. We have a motion on this.
So moved.
Second.
All right, properly moved and seconded. Any questions, comments, discussion on this?
What's it close to?
What's it close to?
What's triggering the?
Oh, it's nearby some residential as well as a school, I think.
Oh.
It's a little corner. It's where like Folk and Wilburn Street Tavern and stuff. So there's already some good activity going on there, and I've heard no negative comments or feedback from any residents in the area. We have, I'm guessing, a proprietor here.
I was just curious what was triggering the?
I think it's nearby residential and a school.
Yeah.
It's like it's very much a mixed use area. So like a lot of the houses there are zoned commercially, but then there's also I think some zoning that's just strictly residential.
Cool. Would you mind introducing yourself just for the record?
My name is Joshua Walker.
Awesome. And are you the proprietor?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Well, I am excited for the spot to open. Can't wait to try it. As much of my neighbors are also looking forward to it, I've heard. So any more discussion, questions, comments about this beer permit? You're going to get it. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Thank you very much. All right, you're good to go. There'll be a public hearing in the main chamber, so please hang out for that. It'll be one of the first items up.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you. All right, resolution. Up next, we have Resolution RS 2022-1757 by Councilmember Druffel. This requests the Metro Department of Water, the Metro Planning Department, and the Metro Codes Department to work together to review the efficacy of current regulations and code provisions affecting infill development and develop new procedures as necessary to regulate infill development and better manage stormwater runoff. Councilmember Druffel is not a member of this committee. Can we get a motion from a member of the committee?
So moved. Second.
All right, bill's properly moved and seconded. Councilmember Druffel, would you like to tell us a little bit about this resolution, please?
Yeah, the goal is to revisit the regulations from 14 and 15. Recently, I know in our districts there's been a lot of flooding. That these regulations from that count the impervious surface up to 800 square feet, it supposedly prevents the water runoff. It doesn't seem to be working at the level we used to, and I think it's because, number one, the higher density has caused some problems in our neighborhood. We went going from 2,000 square feet to 4,500 square feet plus pool and stuff. Taking out the trees, and all of a sudden the water runoff is significant. So I think that's the density. In some areas, you have the tall skinnies taking away almost any vegetation. So number one is asking codes and water and planning to really look at these regulations to get a better idea. Also, the water events have, as we already know, it used to be once every 500 years, but now we're looking at like, well, this is every couple of years. And actually, there was some article in the USA Today the other day is our water events are, you can't count on one every 500 years anymore. So with that, I know within my neighborhood, it's not only individually hitting other houses, it's accumulating to hit others. Yeah, Tom.
I haven't looked at the whole bill, and I'm curious if it's focused on infill development. I know one thing that's come up a number of times, more than I expected, is that people are building swimming pools more than they used to.
Correct.
And so I wonder if that's something that could come up in.
It could, Councilman. So what we've asked is Codes Planning and Water to take a look at the codes. This is not a non-binding resolution, but it's to sort of move this along and push it along, because I've heard from others and some people were going to We started this conversation about 5 months ago, and we're working on it right now, but I think it's important that we let our constituents know that we're moving something forward. I know Councilor Evans and a bunch have talked to me about this concern. So it's really to get the conversation moving and come up with some action plans that are different regulations than the current, that account for some of the changes in our city in the last 6 or 7 years. I know, again, in our district, it's turning quickly to less impervious surface or more impervious surface. Swimming pools is a part of it. One of the regulations, for example, says you have so much so many feet of impervious surface addition, let's say it's 100. Well, then you add a pool later. Well, that you could put in a new house, then you add a pool, then you put in a new driveway. That doesn't count. So what you've done is make a lot of moves that are impacting us maybe later in most of these houses, or if you take a lot of trees out, et cetera, which have absorbed a ton of water, that's impacting us. We have a lot of examples in our neighborhood, and I think everybody else is. So when you start to take a look at that, this is to encourage and move forward on that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that explanation. I wondered if we could get staff's perspective on this resolution and where we're at with sort of the stormwater issue broadly. I know that.
Well,
go ahead, sir. Please, thank you.
Jim Snyder, Metropolitan. So, and Councilman alluded to this, when you think about the planning codes, some of those decisions on the front end results in potentially, a stormwater issue, and so that's what, hence a multi-departmental solution. And I can tell you that the planning department codes, NDOT, water services, we already meet on a monthly basis with other departments, and so I know this matter will be discussed in detail, but obviously, weighted on that planning and codes component. So those kinds of decisions, way back when, result in issues on down the line. So that's why you've got to have this multi-departmental initiative to do it.
Can I ask just of the present landscape? I mean, I know that there's a different stringency, might not be the right word, but for like a single-family home, if they're look at the ISR, but like if we're doing a 2-build, or is it 4+? Like, is there a threshold where a project triggers more stringent review, or no?
So there you go. That's that. I think it's that planning codes question. I think that's driving some of that, and so I don't have that answer for you, but that's where it's going to, as Councilman pointed out, that's where it's going to require.
Yeah, it seems like prior to the 2015 term, I believe Councilmember Allen and Councilmember Emily Evans had worked on legislation at that time that if you add a certain amount of net impervious surface area that it triggers that review.
On a 4,000 square.
So it wouldn't be determined by the number of the units, but by the net impervious surface.
Impervious surface.
So I think they're working on the details of how that would work. So, but nevertheless, moving forward with the legislation.
So y'all feel like this is a step in the right direction to get those questions addressed?
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said, I think the answer is going to lie with some of those earlier decisions on what you do on a piece of property.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that makes sense.
In the product at the end, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's in early conversations. We've been talking for 3 or 4 months. It's not so simple. Right? You've got planning, you got codes. And so when you start to take, in stormwater, when you start to take a look at all of it, like you said, planning is going to have to anticipate some of this. So we want to make sure we do it right. And so we're going to continue that process. But I think it's important that constituents know as we go into the cold, rainy weather that we're working on something. Several council members have asked that.
Thank you. And I see Mr. Jameson here. Mr. Jameson, do you have any input on the stormwater regulation review resolution?
I know it's underway. Those departments are part of a sort of a comprehensive monthly coordination session, but they've already started a hyper-focused attention to this particular issue. And I don't know if the council member would be interested in deferring to sort of monitor that process and then come back, or enact it and we report back.
I think it's a non-binding resolution, so it's sort of I'd like to move it forward simply because it's a non-binding resolution, but I know several people, council people have said that they're getting some play in their neighborhoods and would just like to be able to say, we are moving forward with something. And it does going to take some time, as Mr. Snyder suggested, but I think people should know that we are concerned and we're going to do something.
Thank you.
And the resolution does not have like a deadline or a date?
No, a non-binding resolution is simply to put something out there that says, we recognize there's a problem, it's not, and that we're going to do something. But as Mr. Snyder suggested, it's going to take planning around those, and we don't want to do it quickly, but we're going to have to do something against the current regulations aren't working for most of us. There's several good examples, but we're going to hopefully in a few months have something that we can present.
Thank you, sir. And so we've got a motion on the floor. I want to just comment, that this is a super big issue, I think, for any district, any area of town that's having a lot of infill development. I will say that I think just anecdotally and generally, the what stormwater has been doing in terms of review has been working better than it has in the past. So I think that we are getting better, and I hope that this process helps kind of connect some of the different procedures and planning stages of a project to sort of have a more comprehensive view.
There's that balance. This is not easy. It's that balance of there's property rights issues. There are
Housing crisis, et cetera.
There's planning, there's codes, there's water, there's NDOT, and it all gets thrown into the pot and mix it around and hopefully and we'll get that resolved. But it's just gonna, as Councilman pointed out, it's not a simple answer. But
We need the civil engineers to help us identify the solutions, but I also tell you that I have houses that just moved because they were under the water every time there was a subdivision or something would develop, move water into their house under these regulations. But the reality is, I had a couple, they gave up. They just walked away and sold it to a developer, which then added more impervious surface that moved it down the water out of this LaSalle Lincoln Park area. It's like, you get it, and they go, well, we can just make money, we might as well move. But it's not fair to those around them. So there's a lot of those stories around, not only in my district, but as I've talked to others, and I think reviewing this is a pretty important, as you suggested, Chair.
Yes, sir. Well, we've got a motion to approve on the floor. Any further questions, comments, anything from the committee? All right. All those in favor of the motion to recommend approval of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone against? Anyone not voting?
No voting.
Okay. Thank you.
And we'll commit to the sponsor to make sure those departments are communicating with you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, council member. The last item on the agenda is, and then I do want to keep folks for just 1 second with this last item, is BL 2022-1405 by Parker and Allen. This amends section 13.32.165 of the Metro Code to permanently extend the provisions for countywide sidewalk cafes. We have a motion on this bill.
So moved. Second.
I am going to be deferring this tonight. Did I handle that correctly? Can I make the motion to defer? Do I need somebody else to handle it because it's my
I
bill?
think you can make the motion, yeah.
Yeah, I'm deferring this because I'm working with NDOT to make some changes. They're going to be overseeing this program. We kind of stuck it at codes back during the pandemic. I know the pandemic's still on, but just because codes could handle it, they were willing to do it and they were able to do it. But it's going to permanently live under NDOT, and I'm working with Director Alarcone and other staffers to make sure that this is something that works for them and is going to be a success throughout the county. So I think we're good with just a 1 meeting deferral for now. So I would move a 1 meeting deferral.
Second.
All right. Any discussion or?
I just had just one. Probably a point, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. When my constituents are reading this, they were reading it to permanently extend the provisions for countywide sidewalk cafes, like it's something new countywide. But I think what we need to say is to permanently extend the provisions, because it's already countywide.
Yes,
right?
yes. The program,
So
we made it countywide, and we extended it a couple of times after we initially put it in. Hannah, can we look at the abstract and
reword that.
caption?
Because we extended the date. We're not extending it to countywide. It's already countywide. I think the panic is, what is this going to do to the areas of the county that doesn't have it? Well, they have the ability to apply right now.
If they
haven't, they
yes.
haven't.
Okay, that's good. So we'll take a look at the caption, please.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got a motion to defer 1 meeting on the table. Any other discussion questions about that? All right, all those in favor of deferring 1 meeting?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? Okay. Lastly, I wanted to review this attachment from Councilmember Benedict, who is our new chair, and 2 members of the Government Operations and Regulations Committee. I will be unable to attend this evening's meeting due to a prior personal commitment. As such, I wanted to announce that this year's priorities will be in the next fiscal year pay plan. 1, codes administration policies, and 2, ITS report consolidation for council members. Look forward to seeing you all at the September 20, 2022 meeting. Thank you. With a letter from our new chair. Thanks, everybody, for your attendance, and that concludes our business.
Thank you, good job.
Thanks.
Hey, I only not voted because I came in on the end.
No, I figured that's why you weren't.
Yeah.
You had to abstain on all stormwater-related issues?
Exactly. Pardon me.
Yeah, I think we need to wait till the camera was off before we start
Yes, I
tossing
know,
money around.
right? Hey, good bet on that horse the other day. I'm just kidding.
Took me a second.
Now, bookie.
Yeah, so speaking of Councilmember Young, would you be interested?